Let's cover the multimeter settings, use, and also the amp probe settings and use. Remember, all digital multimeters we use today measure RMS as we discussed earlier. The first setting is off. This meter also has an auto shut-off feature to save the battery life in case you forget to shut it off. The next setting is AC voltage, the most common measurement. The next setting is DC voltage. The next setting is DC millivolts. And as a second function, you could use this as a thermometer by pressing the yellow button and also having the proper attachment thermocouple. The next setting is ohms for measuring resistance, and you will have a tone if you have continuity. Continuity meaning current can flow through what you are measuring. As a second function, this can also be used to test capacitance of a capacitor by depressing the yellow button. Make sure the power to the equipment is disconnected. Do not do any resistance checks with the power on the equipment or component. The next setting is to test diode continuity, no power applied. The next setting is AC amps and milliamps. You will also have to move the leads to the correct position. Second selection is DC amps. The extra amp probe position is for higher amperages. The next setting is AC microamps. Here you also have to move the leads. A second selection is DC. I prefer to have my meter in auto ranging. However, you can select a range to measure in. This meter does have some other things. However, as I promised, we will keep it on the basic side. The amp probe is the next commonly used meter. It's called an amp probe as that is its most common use, though it serves other functions as well. Let's take a look. This is one of your simpler basic amp probes. The first setting is off. This too has an auto shut off in case you forget to turn it off. The second setting, and the one most commonly used on this meter, is the amperage setting. This meter and most meters read AC or DC amperage by opening the jaws and placing them around one wire to read the amperage going through the wire. Remember earlier I talked about the magnetic field being produced as current flows through a wire? The amp probe is measuring that magnetic field to give you a reading. The third setting is AC voltage. This requires leads to be attached to take voltage measurements. By depressing the button, you can switch to DC voltage. This also requires leads to be attached. The last setting is continuity or ohm setting. This too requires leads to be attached. Make sure the power to the equipment is disconnected. Do not do any resistance checks with the power on in the equipment or component. A lot of technicians use this amp meter predominantly as it is easy to carry and does most of what they need to do. They will only get the multimeter out for more precise measurements. This meter also has an NCV or non-contact voltage checker. It does not tell you how much voltage, it just lets you know that voltage is present. Again, it picks up the magnetic field, which illuminates and gives you an alarm. There are a lot of other meters and measuring tools that can be used, but these are the most common to all practices. Use your meter all the time. The more you use it, the more comfortable you will get in understanding what you are reading. You must trust your meter. If you don't, get a new one.